Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to do a review for Yoren VR, a game released in early access on the Steam store on May 25th, 2020 by developer Undefined Company. It's available for the HTC Vive, Valve Index, and the Oculus Rift. It normally retails for $20. I actually got this through Viveport Infinity. I tested this game out on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable. Yoren VR is described as a sandbox type game, dungeon crawler. The developer does say he's working on this game. It is in early access and says to expect bugs and whatnot. And I have to echo that. Expect lots of bugs. In fact, this game is barely playable. To me, this game feels like a demo, a prototype. It doesn't actually feel like a real game. Currently, this game has 3 different dungeons and a couple of spells you can use. I really didn't notice much difference between the spells other than some of them seem to be more powerful than others. And the enemies are just very basic. There's this spider that keeps being repeated, and then there's some boss fights. The boss fights are just not memorable at all. Basically, I was just walking backwards and spamming my spell over and over again, and they just keel over and die. It has very poor animations. The combat is way too basic, way too simplistic. There's really nothing to it at all. And that's why this game just feels like a prototype or an alpha demo than an actual game. Now, the developer does promise to work on this game and does promise 10 total levels. The problem that I have with that is that we have not seen an update since June of last year. So that's been a good 6 months without any word or update from the developer regarding this game at all. This game already feels like it's been abandoned. That may not be the case, but it is a little interesting that when this game was first released, the developer was pretty active in updating the game, and then after June, there's just a total drop-off in communication, as well as any updates to the game. In fact, there are several questions on the Steam community forums since June, late June, that the developer has not responded to, and that's very disconcerting if you're thinking about supporting the developer in early access. And there's nothing wrong with supporting a developer, but just know that from my experience, more times than not, you will be burned and the developer will stop total development on the game and you will be left with a non-functional game and they won't keep any of their promises. There is no punishment for a developer not keeping their promises on Steam, and that's the current problem with the Steam Early Access program and why I dissuade people from supporting developers that they have no reason to be trusting in the first place. Yoren VR is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting a steady 90 frames per second most of the time. However, I did have severe performance drop-offs at times, and I also had several crashes, so performance was a little iffy at times, but for the most part it was running fine on my RTX 3080. You do have full locomotion and snap turning. However, like I mentioned, I experienced several bugs during my gameplay that included falling off the map and the game just totally freezing at several times. There were times where the level would load and my game would immediately freeze, and then usually when I died the game would freeze right after. Now, I was able to go through all 3 levels except the sandworm level because the sandworm level kept crashing. Even when I thought I had defeated the sandworm, the game would crash. I'm not sure if there's only that one enemy on that level or if there's more to that level, but every time it crashed during the sandworm fight, and I'm just not able to tell you whether there's more to that level or not. I can tell you that the first level is the level with the most content, and so that's a little misleading. Once you try the other 2 levels, you see that there really isn't much there to the other levels. I will say one good thing about Yoren VR, it's a very beautiful game. The VR environments, even the enemy models look really good, but the animations are very poor and the combat is way too simplistic, and there just really isn't much at all to the levels. You cannot interact with almost anything that you see on the level, and basically all you're doing is picking up gems, and you might see a spider enemy or whatnot, then you'll use your rune spell, just spam it, it'll die, it'll keel over in a very bad animation, and that's really it. So you're just walking from point A to point B. Now, like I said, the environmental map, the details there are very nice. This is a beautiful game. The lighting could be better, and the sound work is not very good in this game, and the locomotion also is pretty lacking. It kind of feels like you're gliding in the air versus any kind of real walking through the world. So it is a little immersion breaking just the way you traverse in the world. Plus you clip through everything. There are some pathing issues as well, but the worlds itself are very beautiful, so kudos to the developer for that. This is a beautiful looking game. It could use better lighting and better sound work, but other than that, it's a very beautiful map that is interesting to discover and find out all the little passageways, and that is nice, but there just really isn't a gameplay here. He says it's a dungeon crawler. I don't know where the dungeon crawler part would come in because the combat is just way too basic. You just spam your spell over and over. 1, 2, 3 hits, 4 hits, 5 hits, it's down. And there really is no strategy at all. I think the sandworm fight is really the only fight that had any bit of strategy to it. But even then, the game was crashing, so I really couldn't tell. Maybe there really wasn't all that much strategy there. And I want to say it took me maybe 30-40 minutes to go through all the content and all the crashes. And it was just a mostly frustrating experience with this game. It really felt like an alpha demo build, a prototype. So as such, for 20 bucks, there's no way I could recommend this game. You're basically playing to beta test a prototype. And if I have to score this game, I have to rate it, I would give it a 3.5 out of 10. There's just no way I could recommend this game at any price. And I got this game through Viveport Infinity. I do not even recommend that you do the free download if you're an Infinity subscriber. It's not worth your time. This is just a frustrating experience. It's basically a buggy, broken alpha prototype of a game. And who knows if the developer will ever update this game ever again. There's really no reason at this point to believe the developer will continue development of this game, since we have not heard from the developer since late June of last year. So stay away, that's my recommendation. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you like my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, please have a wonderful day. Goodbye.